There are some people who do not need a prison sentence to live behind bars. Their attitude already built the cage. And the dangerous part is that many of them decorated it. They put a plant in the corner, they hung up motivational quotes, they convinced themselves the cage was wisdom, boundaries, confidence, experience, discernment, self respect, protecting their peace, or whatever buzzword sounded noble enough to hide the fact that they stopped growing years ago. Attitude can get you far in life, or attitude can turn every day into a syndicated rerun of a 90s cult classic. Same conflict, same bad communication, same financial stress, same I already know, same that will never work, same people like us don't do that, same I tried that already, same person, different calendar date. And eventually life stops feeling like a journey and starts feeling like a loop. The scary part is that attitude is internal, but we live in an external world. So many people spend their whole lives polishing the outside while the inside is running on expired software like the bank systems and the electrical grids. They can dress well, they can speak well, they have degrees, they can have money, they can be charming, they can be funny, they can even be loved by the public. But if their attitude is rotten, stubborn, defensive, fragile, and allergic to correction, then they are not a person walking through life. They're a walking landmine. You may not know where the explosion is, you may not know when it is coming, but eventually someone is going to step on the wrong truth. And then boom, there goes the friendship, there goes the relationship, there goes the job, there goes the promotion, there goes the opportunity, there goes the peace, there goes the version of their life that could have been better if they had been willing to check themselves before life checked them with interest. The know it all usually is not all knowing. The know it all attitude is one of the most expensive personalities a person can carry. And I do not just mean financially, I mean emotionally, relationally, spiritually, professionally. Because the know it all is not always someone who knows a lot. Sometimes the know it all is just someone who cannot tolerate the feeling of not knowing. That is a very different thing. A wise person can say, I do not know yet. A teachable person can say, show me. A growing person can say, I was wrong. But a know it all often has to protect the performance. They cannot just learn, they have to win. They cannot just listen, they have to correct. They cannot just receive feedback, they have to integrate the tone, question the motive, attack the messenger, rewrite the scene, and then walk away feeling like they survived an attack when all they were given was a mirror. And a mirror is not an enemy. A mirror is just honest. But when shame is driving the bus, honesty feels like violence. That is why so many people confuse correction with disrespect. They confuse disagreement with betrayal. They confuse accountability with hatred. They confuse growth with humiliation. And once that happens, the person no longer responds to reality. They respond to the wound reality touched. That is when attitude becomes more than a personality flaw. It becomes a life manager. It starts making decisions for them. It starts choosing their friends. It starts ruining their relationships. It starts turning away mentors. Baby, when I tell you, I wanted to mentor people on so many different aspects, from people who were interested in blue collar jobs, people who were interested in starting businesses, just all types of stuff. And attitude was the number one enemy of me attempting to assist people, because I will never deal with attitude again. I dealt with enough of it. I've had enough optimism for it. And I see that, and I realized, and every other word connected in synonym of realize, that people who hold on to their personality like it's skin, when you're trying to point out something, it's the equivalent of you pinching them or trying to pull their skin off, and they will go into attack mode. And these same people are able to see other people who are their twin, who have the same traits. They can see the wrong in other people with those same traits, but somehow when it comes to oneself, there is more justification than the justice system. There is more delusion than a DoorDash delivery that claim they 5 minutes away. And it's literally nothing you can do with these people. And they just best suited to be left to their own devices. And the thing about it is that people think that it's just one category. Oh, it's just poor people. Oh, it's just purple, blue, green people. Oh, it's just a person from this place, that place. No, 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 no. If you believe that, have fun in life. Because when you attribute one flaw to one group of people and you keep going through life and other people keep doing it to you, like with me, if I was to be on this pro black train and believe in black this, black that, I would have been shocked when the manager at a restaurant that was black refused to give me a schedule that was meant to allow me to get housing because I needed to explain why I was getting out so late. Because at that time I was unhoused. Even though I wouldn't use that word, I use the word out of respect for people who probably get triggered by the original word. And just like I would have been shocked that it was a black company owner that was trying to railroad me in a situation that a company caused. I would have been shocked when it was my own black family that used me over and over and over again and didn't give a fuck about me whenever I needed something and would gladly defame me to keep their hierarchy in the court of public opinion. Or when it comes to rich people, I would have been sadly mistaken to think that rich people was just suddenly more ethical and above scamming until I seen a real estate company that's actively buying houses, barely fixing them, and selling them for double what they paid for it to people who don't know anything about credit or about lemon laws or redhibition laws. So when it comes to attitude, people live in a fixed environment. Whatever they experienced previously that set the attitude, they go through life, and every time something confirms their beliefs, they hold on to that, even if it's a one-off or even if it's proven to be an anomaly or something novel. And not to mention, people with attitudes will have negative attitudes towards dating but still continue to date, as if that's not going to play a big factor in who you choose or who you settle for. Because when you live with all of that negativity built in, and you dealing with people and telling people all of the negative thoughts, people will manipulate you because you want to date, you want friends, you want a connection with family, but you don't know what that other person is after. That other person might be after your resources, your energy, your housing, your transportation, your connections. So with attitude, people are easily manipulated. They typically are more likely to have tribal mindset because the tribal group is based on a lot of shared ignorance. Anyways, it starts rejecting opportunities. It starts telling them you are fine, everyone else is the problem. And that sentence has ruined more lives than many people are willing to admit. When one person's failure becomes another person's ceiling, one of the most dangerous things about a fixed attitude is that it does not stay inside the person who has it. It spreads. A person fails on the road, then tells everyone behind them the road is impossible. They tried a business and failed, so now your business will fail. They tried school and struggled, so now your degree is pointless. They had a bad relationship, so now love is a scam. They were embarrassed trying something new, so now everyone who tries is delusional. The only relationship love that is a scam is when people blindly seek other people to fill a void in their life. If you out here dating for the simple fact of finding a wife or husband or find your best friend, but you're not keeping in mind who you actually are, what you are capable of providing, what flaws you have had repeatedly told to you by different people that you didn't want to agree that really is a flaw, and how do you handle conflict or disagreement and to own up who you are, because the whole point is everyone does not need to grow and be a yogi or some high ranking religious feat person or somebody who's made of light and they glide down the street and they don't touch the ground. You don't have to do that, but you need to know who the hell you are, because it's too many people out there with nasty ass attitudes that have not admitted that they have a nasty ass attitude, and that nasty ass attitude be the exact reason why everything fails. But it's always everything else. Depending on who the person is, you use that. If it's an opposite gender, you use this gender bias. If it's another race, it's racism. If it's a person with more money, oh, they is classism. If it's a person with less money, they jealous of you. It's always an excuse. Or people who know that they can't be told nothing. But then you get with a person who has a growth mindset and you pretend like you can grow with this person, only for every time the conversation of growth comes up, you become bashful and defensive and demeaning to the other person. And then when the people leave you, oh, leave me like everyone else does, musty mouth ass. Anyways, they were too afraid to leave their hometown, change careers, start over. Baby, too many people are afraid to leave New Orleans, but global warming gonna change that. Not even global warming. The ice sheet about to drop any day now anyway. Anyways, change careers, start over, learn a skill, heal, save money, build discipline, or outgrow the group. So anyone who does it is acting different. This sounds small until the know-it-all is the parent the child is trying to impress. Now a child's dream has to survive the fear of the person who raised them. This sounds small until the know-it-all is the manager standing between an employee and a promotion. Now someone's career path has to pass through the ego of someone who already decided who they are. This sounds small until the know-it-all is in the jury pool and has already made up their mind from headlines, rumors, short clips, and emotional noise. Now a person's freedom may be competing with another person's certainty. This also sounds small until the know-it-all is the person you love, and the relationship is standing on the edge of either deeper connection or sudden destruction. You bring them truth, they bring a defense team. You bring pain, they bring a counter argument. You bring a warning, they bring a performance. And then one day the relationship does not end because there was no love. It ends because the attitude kept interrupting the love. And no, nothing is more disrespectful than when you have an idea formed from your own experiences, observations, information that you have researched that are facts, and the responding party is giving you a talking point or a script that is from the brain of someone else, that someone else said, that someone else said. So it's about five, six people over from the original thinker, and you have to hit this shit in a serious conversation with somebody that you care about, and you trying to repair things. But they so busy being in program mode from all of that damn internet usage and all of that arguing in the comments that they start communicating like you are the comment section. It's too much of that, but to each his own. Have fun. The psychology, why some people refuse to grow. Psychology attitude is not just attitude. It is often identity protection. A person is not only defending an opinion, they're defending the version of themselves that the opinion protects. That is why some people would rather lose a relationship than lose an argument. They would rather keep the image than keep the connection. They would rather be seen as right than become healthy. In Jungian terms, Carl Jung related, this is where the persona starts running the whole house. The persona is the mask. It is the version of self that does not go into the world, that goes into the world and says, "This is who I want you to believe I am." The persona is not automatically bad. We all have one. We all adapt to environments. You do not show up to court, the gym, a funeral, a first date, and a job interview with the exact same presentation. Some people do. The danger comes when the persona becomes the prison guard. When the person no longer knows where the image ends and the real self begins. That is when someone can be uplifting in public and cruel in private, generous to strangers and emotionally bankrupt at home, spiritual online and vindictive behind the scenes, a motivational speaker to the world and a wrecking ball to the people closest to them. Not to mention, a lot of regular people struggle with understanding this part about famous people. You will see the famous person's persona through their actions, through their accomplishments, and then when personal life slip out, you're holding that next to their persona, like if you're trying to do a seek and find or something, or in denial because of the fact of all of the good that they did. A person can do a lot of good and also be horrible. Two things could be true. And also, people is people. You got to stand in the mud. If you still rock with them regardless, rock with them regardless. I don't get the point in trying to justify rocking with people past them being controversial or them showing that they're not who they pretend to be, and doing all of these Olympic level backflips to try to make this person not be wrong in a situation, and even going as far as discrediting innocent people who really were hurt by this person because you like them. That's very dangerous. Not to mention, the more time goes on, the more a lot of people are going to have a rude awakening about the way they handle social media. Like, I definitely can't tell people to leave it alone completely because it's a habit at this point, and habits can't just be removed like that. But be very mindful of the conversations you are engaging in and the things that you are adding yourself to. If two celebrities are beefing or if a person has personal issues, that is not your place to be up here addressing other people about a person who does not even know you exist. If you appeared in the hallway of their home, they will shoot you. They will not hug you and kiss you and hey, these people don't know y'all like that. If you can't show up to their house on a rainy day and say, can I have some sugar? They don't know you. It's okay to support people. It's okay to believe in causes. But the level that it is gone, They always had people like this, but the amount of people like this at one given time is more than I've ever seen. But again, there have always been people like this. Even before social media, they've had people who had their whole house dedicated to a person, politician, pastor, celebrity, whatever. But at the end of the day, just like you are a human, and if you had a title, people will look at you based off your title, but you know how you are in real life and the type of people you hang around. These people are the same way. Money does not change that. If you are able to believe that money changes people instead of actually magnifying their true intentions and desires, then baby, I have a beach house in New Orleans to sell you on the beachfront of New Orleans. And when the truth starts leaking through the costume, they panic, they deny, they blame, they justify. They turn the person who noticed into the problem. Because to them, the issue is not what they did. The issue is that someone saw it. That is the danger of unresolved shame. Shame says, if I am wrong, I am bad. Maturity says, if I am wrong, I can learn. Those two sentences create two different, completely different lives. One builds people, the other builds defenses. Attitude is contagious. Humans often think of illness as something physical. A virus spreads, a bacteria spreads, a cough spreads, all types of stuff spread. But mood spread too. Stress spreads, fear spreads. They spread fear every day, Lord, to the people. Arrogance spreads, hopelessness spreads, courage, joy, laziness, discipline. You ever watch one person yawn and suddenly other people start yawning? You ever walk into a room where one person's bad mood has changed the temperature of the whole place? You ever go to a concert, church service, family gathering, stadium, gym, or celebration, or anything where people gather? Those are just examples of where people gather. No particular reason of using those examples. And feel your mood shift just because the energy around you shifted. That is not imaginary. Emotional contagion is real. Research has examined how people unconsciously mirror or absorb the emotional states around them. And newer reviews have studied decades of human emotional contagion research across in person and social settings. And social media took that human vulnerability and put it on a conveyor belt. Now people do not just catch attitudes from their homes, schools, jobs, churches, and friend groups. They catch attitudes from strangers with ring lights. They catch attitudes from comment section. They catch attitudes from influencers who do not know them, do not love them, and would not visit them in the hospital. They catch attitudes from stand culture. And stand culture can become an emotional plantation and a spiritual sweatshop because some public figures do not treat their supporters like people. They treat them like shields, free legal representation in the court of public opinion, unlimited ATMs where the money never stops, a digital army willing to defend anything, explain away anything, attack anyone, and warp reality if the mask starts melting. And the supporters think they are being loyal, but sometimes they're just being used. They alienate real people in their life for a figure who does not know their middle name. They cut off friends over celebrities. They argue with family over influencers. They inherit the bad attitudes of people they will never meet. And that attitude transfers into their own home, their own job, their own relationships, their own worldview. That is the silent danger. We are not just consuming content. Sometimes we're being consumed by the emotional climate of the content. And this does nothing for people who already are arrested, experience arrested development symptoms, especially a lot of the adult males that I come across in public, like in different environments in the New Orleans area. I do know that Louisiana is always battling Mississippi for number 51 in education. So that matters as well. I also know that the infrastructure and a lot of the tribal thinking out here is a big part of a lot of the things as well. However, you give people who not growing up access to other arrested developed individuals and they really feel validated versus before these people were validated. Social pressure would sometimes be on the good side of history and force some of these people to grow up, to release some of their thinking patterns. Some of them might use religion. Some of them don't believe in religion. It's a, free world. But people are pushed to do things now when you have people who praise your failures, praise your toxic nature, They have people that have millions of viewers harassing women all of the time, committing crimes. Like these people were already impressionable beforehand, so now it's even worse. Not even realizing majority of these people just care about viewership and funding. They don't care about the people that they watch. You don't see the people who binge drink alcohol all day give you a PSA about waiting until 21 until you drink it, or showing you their vitamin levels when they go to the doctor and they have sclerosis of the liver from being their liver being fried like Popeyes on a family weekend when mama not cooking and she going to get the family meal. Like you can tell if a person is performing or actually cares because true care is going to come out naturally. It may come out in everything. Like for me, I have a level of care for humanity as a whole. So it comes out in the fact that I make this kind of content. Now, there are certain personality traits that I personally will never deal with in my own personal life. And then there are some that I dealt with previously. And those are examples of lived experience from a person who actually was the one trying to help people, trying to love people through these things. It's one thing if I just saw these personality traits and just made a laundry list of them and just, be dragging people. But I've been at ground zero with individuals suffering from these different characteristic traits that I mentioned, not to mention, I have grown my own self through certain things I didn't know because I was raised by hyenas, as previously stated. So for me, even though I was Simba in a room full of hyenas, I still had work to do on myself as well because my blind spots were not matching the direct flaws that they had. It wasn't overt like them. It was more covert. And within doing that, I also got to a stopping point of saying some of these flaws have to stay because I'm not about to be the perfect person for people. Hell no, y'all gonna get some flaws, especially if you live in Rome and you trying to keep forcing your way in my life. You gonna get ran off or your money back, 100% guarantee. That is where attitude gets dangerous. A bad attitude will protect everything a person does, even when the thing they're doing is destroying them. A person who explodes at the drop of a dime will justify the explosion. They will say that's just how I am. People will say people know not to play with me and be scary as hell. They will say I keep it real, but keeping it real has cost people jobs, relationships, freedom, and sometimes their lives. Some people do not have anger issues. They have accountability issues wearing anger's jacket. Some people were warned for years about how they treated lovers, family members, co-workers, employees, clients, and friends. They ignored every warning. Then one day, the consequences arrived wearing work boots. Now they're unemployed. Now they're lonely. Now they're blocked. Now they are in court. Now they are trying to explain themselves to people who are no longer interested in the explanation. And the same applies to money. A person can have a bad financial attitude and call it abundance. They can call it treating themselves. They can call it self-care. They can call it I deserve this. But if the bills are late, the savings are empty, the emergency fund is imaginary, the credit score is gasping for air, and every unexpected expense feels like a natural disaster, that is not abundance. That is avoidance with a receipt. Yes, my fellow thousandaires, this includes us too. You do not have to be rich to be financially arrogant. Sometimes the person making 40,000 a year has the same bad attitude as the person making $400,000 a year. Keep in mind, the dollar sign goes before the digits. There is none for American US dollar where the dollar sign will go afterward. If you want to say $400,000, write it out instead of putting the dollar sign after. That does not make the phrase different. Okay, please, I beg y'all. That is like I know where it started because I traced the source, but y'all need to stop, especially because now we have damn near every negative comment is somebody who can't spell basic sentences, like make form basic sentences. And it would be nice to feel empathy or sympathy for a person, but you can't be rude and slow at the same time. You have to pick a struggle. So if you decide to be rude and slow, anyways, different budget, same delusion, same refusal to adjust, same I know what I am doing. Same panic when the consequences show up, and the body keeps score too. Some people age badly, not because life was unfair, but because their attitude will not let them rest, stretch, hydrate, exercise, leave draining people alone, change their diet, go to therapy, manage stress, or listen when their body started whispering. The whisper becomes a warning. The warning becomes a symptom. The symptom becomes a diagnosis. The diagnosis becomes regret. And regret is one of the loudest rooms a person can live in. Social media is full of regret. People regretting who they dated, what they posted, what they spent, who they trusted, not leaving sooner, not starting sooner, not listening sooner. But regret only becomes wisdom when it changes present behavior. Otherwise, it is just pain with a memory. The past is not a diagnostic tool. The past is a diagnostic tool, not a life sentence. The past should work like a vehicle diagnostic. It should show you what needs attention: weak battery, low tire pressure, engine misfire, fluid leak, brake issue, electrical problem. The diagnostic light is not there to insult the car, it is there to prevent the breakdown. But too many people treat their past like a manufacturer going bankrupt during a 100 million vehicle recall. They ignore the defect. They keep driving. They blame the road. They blame the weather. They blame the passengers. They blame the mechanic. Then they act shocked when the wheels come off. Your past is not supposed to be a throne. It is not supposed to be an excuse factory. It is not supposed to be a museum where you keep walking people through the same exhibit forever. Also, check your local library, because there is funding for many libraries in America where you can get free passes to the zoo or your local museums, as well as adult education and all kinds of other stuff. Anyways, not imprison you. If the same pattern keeps appearing, this is not coincidence. That is a curriculum. If the same type of person keeps hurting you, there may be a lesson in the selection process. If the same type of conflict keeps following you, there may be a lesson in communication. If the same financial emergency keeps happening, there may be a lesson in preparation. If the same workplace issue keeps repeating, there may be a lesson in skill, attitude, timing, or environment. The question is not, why does this keep happening to me? The question is, what is the pattern trying to reveal before it becomes permanent? The groups we stay in become the lies we accept. Groups shape attitude. And if you want to understand someone's future, pay attention to the emotional economy of their circle. And now with technology, your circle includes the people you interact with online as well. So if you're constantly in groups that are focused on the doomification of society, where they take every negative thing, such as weather, politics, finances, and make it the whole view of the whole world, that the whole world is doomed because Timbuktu, Idaho laid off 50 people. Like the layoff is definitely valid for people's impact on their personal life, but please stop projecting that monolithic things everywhere. And if you're in groups like that, it's very easy to feel negative. Like anytime I've seen groups of people that are doomified, word to Dr. Doom, formerly known as Tony Stark, I noticed that everything, like even if they change the subject to other things, the people will still have a negative feeling about it. It could be something like, oh, a fire in the woods, but it's surrounded by water so it won't spread. The doom-minded people will be like, well, watch, something gonna happen, the wind gonna blow, and it's gonna jump over the water, and it's gonna burn the rest of the world down. And they don't even notice it. Because when you mentally enslaved, it's not the same as physical slavery. Like being physically enslaved or physically incarcerated, you can visually see your boundaries of how far you can go, what you can do. But when you are mentally and emotionally enslaved, and what's even scarier is some people have been sold off since they were children. You were already enslaved by either your family, the environments in school. Maybe your parents loved you, but they worked so much, so the people who watched you or you watched yourself enslaved you, and then you was just passed around. You went from being enslaved as a child to being enslaved in friendships. Then you get older, you be enslaved to whatever you're supposed to be. People want you to be a maid, but you want to be a mayor. But you enslaved because you're doing the maid stuff because the environment demands that, but your spirit is the mayor, not the mayor of New Orleans. You're not twerking and sleeping with other people's husband and your husband magically dying. Rest in peace to Mr. Cantrell. But you were passed around for so many years. So when social media came along, a lot of people fit right in with the mental slavery because they don't see what people get from them. Like even you as one person, if you look at your finances, you have funded a lot of businesses, especially if you broke. You funded a lot of businesses. The broke people spend the most. And it's not just something so as simple. And these are self-proclaimed broke people. I'm not calling people broke. I would use a more classy word: disenfranchised, financially disabled, something like that. So, anyways, when you look at the way you react to certain things on the internet, and even if it's bad or even things that you should leave alone, and how easy it is to waste time doom scrolling, that's programming, babe. You were programmed, especially when it comes to if you have people in your life that you used to hang with or still hang with who waste time, grown ass people who could be farming some land or maybe encouraging some of these parentless children, fatherless and motherless children on a a better way of living, or helping the elderly people who be on next door and needed somebody to cut their grass. Like you could be doing so many things, but you wasting time with people going to clubs that's played out. The rent for the spot you go to the club to is probably only $1,000 for the club owner, but somehow they're able to make 20,000 every night they open because they're charging you $1,000 for an area inside of a building that is only 1,000 a month for them to rent, because the average person does not have business sense. People think that knowledge of certain things should be left to the person wanting to work in that. Like because you don't want to be in tech, you shouldn't know about how AI really work. So you're not fooled by all of these rage bait ass videos that spew so much false information. Or because you're not a nurse, you shouldn't know the proper ways stitches or sutures should be done. Or because you're not a banker, you shouldn't know the proper ways of balancing your budget or balancing the checkbook. So people prey on the fact that people are not knowledgeable and they don't seek knowledge. People seek comfort. And that is being weaponized to the furthest extent of the law. And honestly, if it was 2015 me, I would swing on all of the male content creators involved because I don't hit women. I would beat up all of the male content creators for doing this to people because I could see it from the mile away, like literally. And the only reason I don't even have to look at the content, I can just hear the message they're saying. And my brain asks, why is this person saying this? What does this person get out of people hearing this message? And if this message makes people sad, how is this person going to benefit from that? Or if this message makes people angry, how is this person going to benefit from that? And then when you think about it, a lot of people just been passed around their whole life, passed around with being mental slaves to things. That's how you have all of these good morals that you can quote, but the people that you tried to protect didn't protect you. But you're supposed to be the forgiving one. Forgiveness is good for you not to be bitter, because on the emotional level, yes, that's dangerous to hold in the actual anger feeling and the actual wanting to get revenge feeling. But this rekindling thing that people try to romanticize and people clap when you and a longtime friend get back cool again, but then they didn't really pay attention to how y'all fell out and the actual things this person said, which were things that they've been holding in, or them weaponizing secrets against you, which is them been plotting that, and they were gaining secrets in a manipulative manner. Like, and not to mention, a part of the slavery is for you to be afraid of having self-value out of fear of being cocky, but everybody else can piss on you every time they get a ladder rung up higher than you. They can play on your head when they have the money. They can play on your head like them people. Everyone I've seen online who do a certain type of content have experienced this person. The person who use people when they lonely, when they single, man or woman, they be all on your jock, all on your block, all up in your socks. But then soon as they get with someone, they ghost, no power, no Tommy. And yeah, but back to the lesson at hand, because I can go on and on. Everyone smiles, but no one is truly happy when one person rises. Some groups have one clear leader and everyone else happily follows, even if the leader is lost with confidence. Some groups are healthy. People grow, encourage, correct, and pull each other upward. Then there are groups where one person grows and stays too long trying to pull everyone else up. That's a separate video I'm gonna do, because That's going to require me bringing myself back to the red table talk, because it's not just simple as me. I tried to pull everyone up and they didn't appreciate it, because I have some stock. I have some stock in their business too. Because yes, they, certain things could have been handled better. Yes, disrespect was happening, but how did I allow it? Like, especially the person who's so dangerous to other people, to strangers, but people who I'm supposed to love is walking over me like I'm an area rug from Timu in the garage on a muddy day. No. Eventually, they face the choice: keep trying to save the group and get pulled down, or leave and get slandered. And many times, leaving the group will get you slandered. Oh, baby, look, listen. Because people often do not interpret your growth as growth, they interpret it as judgment. Your boundaries became arrogance. Your silence becomes betrayal. Your discipline becomes thinking you better. Your healing becomes acting brand new. Your elevation becomes a mirror they did not ask for. And instead of doing their own work, they try to bring you back to the version of yourself that made them uncomfortable. That is why attitude matters, because the wrong attitude will make a person loyal to the cage. The right attitude will make a person loyal to the calling. Careers. Sometimes the ladder was an escalator. Attitude can keep a person stuck in the career field where the ladder was almost an escalator. Sometimes when you look at the people in authority around you, the difference is a license, patience, self-belief, risk tolerance, and a corner office. That does not mean everyone can do everything, but it does mean many people may disqualify themselves before life ever gets the chance. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm not smart enough. People like me don't do that. I tried before. I don't have the right background. I don't know the right people. I am not ready. And baby, unless you got a felony, if you don't have a felony and it's been 7 years since whatever your misdemeanor Elliot is, you good. Like, but be careful with them theft charges. That's a crime of character in a lot of eyes of a lot of employers. So yeah. Some of those statements may have facts inside of them, but many of them are not facts. They are attitudes wearing business casual. And in the workplace, attitudes does not just affect one person. Managers shape entire climates. Gallup's workplace research continues to show low global employee engagement, and the 2026 report says engagement declined again in 2025 to its lowest level since 2020. When leaders are disengaged, defensive, poorly trained, or emotionally unavailable, their teams feel it. This is why a bad manager can make a good employee question their future. This is why one gatekeeper can slow down talent. This is why some workplaces lose their best people and keep asking why. The answer is often simple. People did not leave the work. They left the attitude surrounding the work. And that's why during my offshore career, and I'm still counting the time because I'm still on paper working there, if I would have let that musty ass binge Dr. Pepper with no water drinking ass Jiminy Cricket shrivel skin up looking ass captain hold me back from my ideas, and my nice and understanding and intelligent high calorie captain was the one who informed me about the pathway of getting the Coast Guard certification and all of the other things in the merchant mariner credential side of offshore. If I would have let that other captain, stop me with his ways, I would have still been a deckhand making 120 a day. I don't know what they're making now. They might be making 200. But back then it was like 120, then it went up to 140, then it went up to 160. Then when COVID happened, it dropped to something else. But that's a separate industry. So yeah, do not let your chain smoking Dr. Pepper binging supervisor hold you back. Self-check. Is your attitude helping you or holding you hostage? Not, let us bring the mirror closer, not for shame, for inventory, because the goal is not to walk around calling everyone else difficult. It would be fun though. The goal is to ask, where am I difficult in calling it personality? Here are the questions worth sitting with. When someone gives you feedback, do you listen to the truth or do you immediately search for flaws in their delivery? This slide right here is unrelated, but it was for another video and I'm just going to get it off on this one. Do you need the person correcting you to be perfect before you can receive anything useful for them? Do you often say that is just how I am when the people around you are telling you that how you are is the hurting connection? Do you secretly feel attacked when someone knows something you don't know? Do you discourage people from trying things because you failed at them? Do you confuse your experience with universal law? Do you assume people will fail because you did? Do you punish people emotionally when they outgrow your advice? Do you turn every conversation into courtrooms? Do you apologize with explanations so long that the apology disappears? I'm sorry. That's funny that people. I just had an imagination of people doing that. Maybe I apologize quick if I have to. Is I apologize depending on the situation. I really don't have too many instances of that happening because I walk on eggshells with people naturally. That's embedded in me to do. No amount of shadow work is going to change that about me. So I'm extremely careful with how I handle people. And that's kind of why I used to have automatic resentment. And that's why self discovery was important to me because when disrespected, it would be resentment because I'm not a disrespectful person to people. I greet people. I say please and thank you. I hold the door. If it's a person that clearly is struggling with something, I help them. Like I give directions to people. Like I do, and I'm never forcing it. It has to be visibly clear this person needs this or this person has to ask me. So when those same people take it upon themselves to treat me like they should be treating the people that left them hanging, treating the guests at their house that walk past their trash can on the curb and don't pull it in, treat the people who live in their house and they helping them pay bills while they struggle to pay bills by themselves. That's what I used to have an issue with. But then I started realizing that people just don't people, and misery has to go somewhere. If a person is internalizing their misery and they're not acknowledging that it exists and they're not working through the source of the misery, baby, they're gonna bleed over on you. Word to volcanoes. Do you call yourself loyal when you're really enabling? Do you call yourself blunt when you're really careless? Do you call yourself protective when you're really controlling? Do you call yourself honest when you're really using truth as a weapon? Do you keep friends around who reinforce your worst instincts because they make you feel right? Do you follow public figures who make you more angry, more arrogant, more suspicious, more cruel, or less capable of nuance? Baby, anybody who subscribe more to 10 channels or 10 people on the internet, that answer is yes, automatically. Do you spend more time defending your life than improving it? Do you keep talking about what you are going to do while repeatedly refusing the habits required to become that person? Do you treat your past as a teacher or as a permission slip? Do you only want growth when it comes with applause? Do you only want healing when no one asks you to change? If some of those questions touch a nerve, good. A nerve means something is alive. The point is not to condemn yourself. The point is to locate the leak. Because again, this is not a shame channel. Like this content, first of all, these videos be long as hell. So what I look like making long ass videos where it's like the Jerry Springer episodes where they had the military man on there fussing at the bad kids. I think Murray used to have the people on there too. Like that doesn't make any logical sense to me. Not to mention people, regardless of how I personally feel about people, which I understand personal feelings for me is like weather. That's why I don't pay no mind to myself when I be having different emotions based off of reactions to things and take it as truth. I always separate the fact that it's feeling and bias from actual truth, facts, and statistics and whatever else. But at the end of the day, if everyone I'm reaching decided to be better people in their life or was able to grow and achieve things in their life, that would have an effect on the world. It might not have an effect on all 8 billion people, but it has impact. The same way the internet has made a lot of negative impacts due to the way people use it, due to the way a lot of children are able to use it without parental filters. And some content is even bypassing parental filters, like that Momo thing that they had when I was still on Twitter, where it was teaching children about exiting life and all of this other stuff. So it matters. People matter. Everyone matters. It's like raindrops. One drop is just a drizzle, but a bunch of raindrops is a storm. If that makes sense. Anyways, the growth audit, practical steps. Step 1, separate identity from behavior. Instead of saying I'm a failure, say that behavior failed. Instead of saying I am bad with money, say my current money system is not working. Instead of saying I am terrible at relationships, say my current relationship patterns need examination. This matters because shame freezes people. Responsibility moves people. Step 2, ask for feedback from someone who is honest but not cruel. Baby, go to therapy. Like some type of therapist, you can even call 988. That should be in the bio because I always make sure to put the resources in there. But honestly, depending on where your environment is, that is not advice that is always safe, especially if you are in areas that are very hectic and a lot of the citizens are miserable, upset, civil unrest. If you have someone that you could trust to do that, good luck. But no, no, not your biggest fan, not your loudest critic, someone balanced. Ask them, what is one attitude or habit you think is holding me back? Then do the hardest thing. Do not debate, do not explain, do not perform. Write it down, sit with it. Look for patterns. Step 3, study your triggers. What corrections make you defensive? What type of person makes you feel small? What success in others makes you uncomfortable? What topics make you start performing intelligence instead of practicing curiosity? Your triggers are not random, they are arrows. Step 4, change your inputs. If your content diet is full of rage, stand wars, gossip, doom, humiliation, arrogance, and emotional chaos, do not be surprised when your inner world starts sounding like a comment section with a ring light. Your mind is not a trash can. Stop letting everyone dump in it. Step 5, practice saying the mature sentence. I did not know that. I was wrong. I need to think about that. I can see how that affected you. I need help. I reacted badly. I am working on it. Those sentences sound small, but for some people, they're a spiritual deadlift, especially if you're not repeatedly using them over decades and no change is happening, then it's definitely powerful. But for some people, step 6, attach growth to systems, not moods. Do not wait to feel transformed. Build the system, budget weekly, read daily, walk daily, train consistently, sleep better, save automatically, have difficult conversations sooner, clean your environment. Limit your exposure to people who make dysfunction feel normal. A better attitude is not just a thought, it is a repeated vote for better self. And in closing, do not let attitude be the reason. Some people are not trapped by oppression anymore. They are trapped by an old version of themselves that they keep protecting. They were freed from the cage long ago, but the attitude kept the door locked from the inside. And life is too short to be loyal to a mindset that keeps making your world smaller. Do not let attitude be the reason you stay broke when you can learn. Do not let attitude be the reason you stay lonely when you can soften. Do not let attitude be the reason you stay unhealthy when you can adjust. And not as far as the softness. Like when it comes to loneliness, it's not just about softness. It's about everything. It's about your sense of danger. It's about your discernment. If you, this is a whole separate video coming up too. But if your discernment is accurate, but you were gaslit a lot most of your life by people who didn't like the fact that your discernment was snitching on their rat asses, then you might need to find a way through whatever. Again, some type of safe form of self introduction and self elevation to trust your discernment again, because long term gaslighting is very damaging to self trust, especially from people that you probably love. That's why that has to be a separate video. But do not let attitude be the reason you lose people who are trying to love you honestly. Do not let attitude be the reason you reject opportunities because they arrive dressed like correction. Do not let attitude be the reason you become the cautionary tale you were warned about. Because the future is not only built by talent, it is built by teachability. The future is not only built by intelligence, it is built by humility. The future is not only built by confidence, it is built by correction. And sometimes the difference between the person who stays stuck and the person who rises is not luck, beauty, money, age, or background. Sometimes the difference is attitude. One person says, I already know. The other says, teach me what I am missing. And over time, those two sentences become two completely different destinies. And also for people who want success in life, you have to wonder how much of the information you believe is accurate. Because if all of the people who fail and who complain and who struggling all think the same, doesn't that make you wonder if the information they're being fed is either not the way it's said or it's being taken in a way that causes them to react in ways that if they reacted the opposite, they could benefit from whatever the situation is. So just sit on that thought. But that is it for this video. And if you made it this far, like always, thank you again. And thank you to everyone supporting the channel through liking and watching videos. Thank you. Happy owning you.